En France, le climat en France, c'est qu'il y a vraiment une attente par rapport à un projet de ce type. Parce qu'actuellement, l'état d'esprit général en France n'est pas très bon, dans le sens où on a très souvent peur de l'avenir. Et il y a une peur des évolutions qui sont liées à la mondialisation, une peur du progrès scientifique et technique, une peur par rapport à l'évolution de l'emploi. Il y a comme ça un certain nombre de peurs. Et pour répondre à ces peurs, il était important, je crois, que l'administration fasse un exercice global de prévision, un exercice global d'anticipation. C'est un exercice qui n'a pas été fait en France depuis 15 ans. Donc ça fait quand même un certain temps qu'on n'a pas fait ce type d'exercice. Et on voulait se projeter relativement loin. 2025, c'est déjà un horizon assez lointain, pour justement essayer de montrer que l'avenir n'est pas forcément uniquement négatif, qu'il n'y a pas que des peurs, mais qu'il y a des opportunités, et qu'il y a différents futurs possibles. Et je crois, on sent dans le pays qu'il y a une attente par rapport à ce genre de choses, et donc nous, on va essayer à travers cet exercice, qui est en cours en ce moment, j'en reparlerai tout à l'heure, on va essayer de répondre à cette attente qui, je crois, est forte. Et je voulais juste rebondir aussi sur ce que disait Ingo tout à l'heure, parce que comme je suis statisticien, ça m'a effectivement beaucoup intéressé. Notre exercice, il est double dans le sens où il est à la fois qualitatif et quantitatif. C'est-à-dire qu'on va à la fois essayer, ce qu'on dit en France, de raconter une histoire, c'est-à-dire de raconter plusieurs futurs possibles, mais on va essayer aussi de baser ces histoires sur des chiffres, sur des données chiffrées. Et il faut faire attention, et ce que tu disais tout à l'heure est très important, il y a une chose qu'il ne faut pas que vous oubliez, c'est quand vous regardez des statistiques, elles sont souvent, on met en fait dans les statistiques, on met des chiffres dans des catégories. Par exemple, on met les gens dans des catégories professionnelles. Dites-vous bien que ces catégories, elles évoluent lentement. C'est-à-dire que les statisticiens font évoluer leur grille, par exemple, de métier très lentement. Et demandez-vous toujours si ces catégories ne vont pas elles-mêmes beaucoup évoluer à l'horizon de votre exercice. Parce que nous, on se rend compte qu'on raisonne en ce moment avec des chiffres sur des catégories qui peut-être n'auront plus le même sens demain. Par exemple, le chômage en France. On est en train de réfléchir à d'autres indicateurs de chômage parce qu'on s'aperçoit que la frontière entre le chômage, entre l'emploi, n'est pas aussi évidente, n'est pas aussi tranchée. Et qu'il y a beaucoup de gens qui sont dans une catégorie intermédiaire. Donc, quand vous allez faire votre bilan statistique, quand vous allez regarder vos données, essayez toujours de vous projeter et de vous dire peut-être que ces catégories-là ne seront plus pertinentes dans 15 ans ou dans 20 ans. Donc ça, c'est très important et c'est un statisticien qui vous le dit. Donc, je peux me faire confiance.
There are two things you probably should know about Germans as such. I'm into stereotyping now, but that's quite important because we also are very frightened of the future and we don't like to think about the future as Germans. Because we believe in Angst. So there is this German word Angst. So if many of us in the Zoom use that expression. I mean, if you're talking to a German, you should probably always keep in mind that he is probably frightened. And the second thing is that normally we have that what we call a minority complex. Right. So the others are always better. We are export champions, but it's all bad. So let's imagine you have got some kind of, well, you did it yourself. You said to your chairman, are you interested in the future of Germany? And he said, yes, very much so. Deliver something on that. We did it ourselves. We came up with a question, and that's also quite important for you. If you do something in your groups, always start with the right question. And take your time really to go into formulating that question. Because the question is really the start. With the question, you have everything in that. And if you follow and you change the questions, always put that down, how you change it. Because you can learn a lot about your group and yourself in that how you go with the question. And talking about that and coming back to that, our question was, how will the future be like? And we had a very lot of books and whatsoever of German people, and they said, well, everything will be dull because we will be an aging society. Aging societies can be innovative societies if you do innovation in a different way. If you do not do innovation like the iPod way, like going very fast for new gadgets, selling those new gadgets which nobody can really use because they're so new, this is probably not the way you do innovation in an aging society. And aging, as such, is a very complex process. I'm now talking as a sociologist, and as a sociologist, you're looking into aging as a very diverse process because we all age differently. And we all progress differently with aging. So that's what we had to come up with. We had to question our own superb stereotypes. An aging society doesn't mean that this society will be dull. An aging society doesn't mean that there will be less value creation. Not at all. And this is what you can also do for your exercise probably. Always question those things you seem to know, because you only seem to know them. But sometimes there is a lot of stereotype in that.
First, I should start by saying Australians are not good at angst. And that's a serious point, and I take your point, it's quite a serious point, and therefore we did not start with set questions. The whole point of this was to give people general topics and ask them not a set question, but not to say, where do you think we will be in 10 years? Quite the reverse. Say, not where do you think we will be, where do we want to be? Where should we be going? What ideas do we want to take forward, and what changes do we need to make now and between now and then to get there? So it was quite a different process. How was it done? Well, if you're trying very quickly, this just took place last month, I might say, this conference, so it's quite recent experience. How do you choose the top 100 thinkers? Well, I mean, any means is good, really, isn't it? But by two means, by nomination and by self-nomination. So people wrote in and nominated themselves, and people wrote in and nominated people they believed would be good thinkers. And you might think that would produce some sort of catastrophically chaotic result, but in fact it didn't really. About 8,000 people were nominated, and 1,000 people were to be chosen. So it's not too bad, is it, really, in terms of organisation. Before that, there were a number of run-up introductory meetings too, at the provincial, state level. There were prior conferences. Schools, about 500 schools across the country fed ideas into a youth summit. It's quite easy to get these things going quickly. And ideas were fed up, and the point of this exercise was to get ideas. It wasn't to discuss an agenda or to come out with some sort of pre-formed plan. The whole point was to come up with ideas. So when the groups of 100 met, there was no agenda. They were just told, and this, as I say, was done in 2 days. You had, in each of these groups, 100 of the most prominent people in the country, the heads of all the major companies, for example, were present in the economic area. And they had to work around, in the course of that day, to get their ideas through. Tremendous process of struggle and combat of ideas. And amazingly, this process worked. The 10 were, one was productivity, of course, so that's education, skills, training, science, innovation. The second was the economy, obviously. The third was environment, including climate change, water, we have a big water problem, population. The fourth was rural areas, the whole issue of urban versus rural. The fifth is health, including preventative health and workforce planning, aging, all those issues. Next was communities, the whole social agenda. The seventh was Indigenous issues, as in Canada. The next one was the creative world, arts, film, design. The ninth is governance, the whole area of what sort of constitution Australia should try to pursue in the next 20 years. And, I don't need to tell you that the result of that was to propose a republic, for example. So they went straight to the heart of the matter. And then finally, the last one was security, international issues and security. So if you can't find your pet topic in there somewhere, please let me know.